And we have been anticipating your arrival for a long time.
И ние сме очаквали вашето пристигане тук, в Пловдив, от много дълго време.
But this is not a convention, so don't worry, the spiritual program will not be too long.
Но това събиране не е конгрес, като вчерашния, и затова искаме да кажем, че програмата няма да бъде твърде дълга.
And as you can see, he never agrees with me. That's why Jehovah put us together.
Нямаме много общ език с него.
But everything that happens in this Kingdom Hall here today stays here. No. And that's why you will be able to see that in the tent outside on the big screen.
И всичко, което виждаме да се случва тук, на тази сцена, в тази зала, не може също да бъде видяно отвън на големият екран на паркинга.
And everything we hear in this Kingdom Hall, you can also hear in the big tent outside the Kingdom Hall.
И всичко, което чуваме тук в залата, може да се чува отвън на паркинга.
So all in all, we are at least 220 brothers and sisters on this Kingdom Hall property today. I would say maybe 300. Good. As always, we will ask for Jehovah's blessing upon this gathering, and we'll ask Brother Tommy safely. He's over here. And we work in this country was on the bank.
Благодаря много, брат Сикли. И както може би вече сте чували, по време на комунистическия режим тук в България, работата по проповядването, проповедната дейност беше под забрана.
So if they found literature in your possession, you could end up in a concentration camp.
Ако властите са открили някакъв вид литература във вас, тогава е възможно да получите присъда в концентрационен лагер.
Still, some of our Bulgarian brothers, they learned the truth at that time, during this time, and they were often helped by brothers from nearby countries.
И все пак много от нашите братя тук в България са успели да научат истината, разбира се, с помощта от братя от другите страни, които са помагали.
And the video clip that you will see now will show some experiences from that time. And the video is called They Saw Jehovah's Hand. So please enjoy.
И видеоклипът, който е подготвен и ще видите сега, показва само някои от случките, които са имали братята по това време. И моля да се насладите на този хубав видеоклип.
Came to Bulgaria for the first time in 1979 pretending to be tourists. At the time, we knew of only 5 sisters in Sofia. We would act as tourists in the morning, and then in the afternoon we would go to visit the various addresses that we received from the brothers.
It was difficult to learn off by heart all the names and addresses. But we could not write them down, just in case someone would find them. Everything was written in Cyrillic, which was very difficult for us.
The responsible brothers in Vienna warned us that all the cleaners in the hotel and the people who would sell things at the beach were informers for the national security. We thought that was exaggeration, but we were curious to see if it was true. So every day I would tie around our suitcase a very fine nylon cord, and it was true. Every day our suitcase was open. Every day. For this reason we could not leave any literature in our room, and we had to hide everything under our clothes, for example under the skirt, inside the jacket, or around our waist.
So as to have full control, the authorities required that foreigners had to have a document stand at every gas station or hotel we visited. This was so they could keep an eye on where the tourists coming from the west were traveling to.
We learned to pray earnestly every time we traveled because we felt inadequate and we were not used to this kind of work. But at the end of each travel, when we thought of the things that happened, we always felt that Jehovah guided us in every situation. He always made up for our mistakes, and when we would forget things, Jehovah truly supported us.
We usually prayed a lot, especially before crossing the border. And we felt Jehovah's guidance.
In the 90s, I served as city overseer to Thessalonica. The Greek branch assigned me to deliver literature to the brothers in Bulgaria. So I asked the congregations to tell me which brothers were willing to take part, and so the project started. I just want to underline that at that time, Bulgaria was not part of the European Union, and so the brothers had to pay large sums for their expenses, for example for visas, for gas, and for other things. Nevertheless, brothers were willing to help. I took part in the first of such deliveries. We used 3 cars and we met in Thessalonica, where the literature was kept. We placed it at the bottom of the trunk and then placed suitcases and boxes, filling them with different things like dresses, foodstuff, and things that you could not find in Bulgaria at that time. And so we set off 3 cars. Just before arriving at the border, we felt the need to read the daily text, but most of all, to pray to our God for support, guidance, and help. We decided that the cars should not cross the border one after the other, but to have some distance between us, even during the journey, so as to not to show that we knew each other. That's what we did. With Jehovah's help and protection, we crossed the border. On other occasions, we thought of doing something else, so as to hide our magazines.
Since some of our brothers were caught and sent back, we thought of putting the magazines on the back seat, and since our child was with us, we made him lie down and sleep on top of them. We told him, when we get to the border, don't get up. Pretend that you are asleep, so that they won't check where you are. So even if they would find the magazines in the trunk and confiscate them, the magazines under the child would go unnoticed. Our child did not move, pretending that he was asleep, and this method proved to be successful.
I remember one time when we set off with 3 cars to deliver literature to our brothers. We reached the border and they found magazines in 2 of the cars and they sent them back. I was in the 3rd car. The officer came over, opened the trunk. The magazines were not hidden at all. He saw them, he even flicked through them, and then he closed the trunk and said to me, "Okay, go." Truly, my heart was full of gratitude to our God in seeing His protection, guidance and help. It was so clear that it was as if Jehovah blinded that man, because Jehovah knew how great the need of spiritual food was for his sheep. I felt so thankful to our God, our loving God, who takes care of all our needs, who sustains us and gives us the strength even in difficult times.
I got baptized in 1953 in New York. From that time, I fully dedicated my life to do Jehovah's will. Motivated from this desire, I pioneered even though I had to work and to look after 2 small children. I started to translate into Bulgarian in 1961. Then, Brother Herschel allowed me to translate a tract. I didn't even have a dictionary, but I worked from the German language. That is how the tract was translated. In February 1969, I was imprisoned for 3 weeks. As per usual, they found me with literature and they sentenced me with 20 years imprisonment. I told them, I want you to make a note of today's date, and when I'm released 20 years from now, I don't want to be held 1 minute longer. The sentence was reduced to 6 years. And at the end, I was in prison for 3 weeks. And then I was released and sent back to the States. 50 years ago, I prayed to Jehovah, asking him if I would ever see my dream come true, to witness in Bulgaria an international convention. This prayer has now been answered, thanks to Jehovah's blessings. I feel that Jehovah looks over every step we take and leads us towards everlasting life.
In 1982, I was a beekeeper in Sunny Beach, in a forest near the Black Sea. I started to study the Bible, but I had to be very careful in hiding the literature, because under the communist regime, it was under ban. So I decided to hide it in the beehive, I placed the literature under the bees, and actually they guarded the literature. Thanks to those bees, Jehovah provided me with both food and protection.
We hid the literature from Sofia in our cellar, but right above was where the local police station was located. Who would have thought that the literature was right under the police's nose and helped us to hide the literature there?
When the Berlin Wall and communism fell, there was a big crisis in Bulgaria. Brothers from Poland, Austria and Czech Republic decided to help by bringing us literature. Brothers from Greece also decided to help by sending us spiritual and physical food. On one such occasion, we had just unloaded a ton of literature from a truck and put it into my van when the police came to do a check. They asked me, "Who is your contact in Greece?" I answered, "He's gone to visit his friends in Sofia. I'll go and look for him." I started at my van and drove away and parked it far away from my house. I went home by tram. The brothers were so happy that the police left without finding the literature and the list of names of those who were going to receive the goods. Jehovah yet again showed me how he protects his people so that his will be done. One morning, when our work was still under ban, 4 sisters were arrested and taken to the National Security for interrogation. The next time when the sisters met, one of them did not turn up, so they thought that she was the informer, and so they isolated her as if she was this fellowship. Years later, they received news from abroad that the traitor was someone else.
The sister straight away went to Sister Donka to ask for forgiveness. She was so happy to see them and with great enthusiasm said, "I forgive you." And she said, "I knew that Jehovah would put things right." She remained faithful to Jehovah for the rest of her life.